unless there's more, this might be a good segue into something related, but not totally related. The what's the name? John Stossel lawsuit against Facebook, because it sort of touches on some of the. It may not have been the best segue, but whatever. We're there already. John Stossel suing, because I thought it had to do a little bit with some COVID misinformation, but this one deals more with climate misinformation. But it deals with the arbiters of truth, the tech giant arbiters of truth, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, yada, yada, the fact checkers. And John Stossel, for anybody who doesn't know, he's a reporter. He's the Magnum PI looking guy. He's got a thick mustache. I actually always thought he was Burt Reynolds, but no, he's a reporter that used to work for 2020. I think NBC Nightly News, moved to Fox, and he is suing Facebook now. Facebook and two of their affiliated fact checkers for defamation. And it's a very interesting lawsuit because, look, we've seen it happen with COVID information. With Candace Owens, it's very similar to the Candace Owens lawsuit, but this one deals with two videos he made dealing with the wildfires in California, where he put out a video basically, on the one hand, challenging the official narrative that it was only climate change. He said it was part climate change and part forest managements. Got fact checked for it, and the fact checkers, in fact, attributed a statement to him that he did not ever make in that video, to then say it's fact check false. And they said that what he had said was it had nothing to do with the environment and was only forest management, which is exactly the opposite of what he did in fact say. So the fact checkers improperly summarize or attribute a statement to him that he did not make, label it as false, and I think they took down the post. And they did basically the same thing with climate. It was something to, Robert, you'll remind me. I forget the second fact check. Oh, climate panic. But bottom line, they label him fake fact check. They penalize him for it. The fact checkers that Facebook works with are some French company who then Facebook just runs what the fact checkers say without verifying it themselves. He's suing for defamation, and rightly so, that his reputation as a journalist basically is all that he is. It seems like a very well-drafted lawsuit. It seems much like Candace Owens' lawsuit, though. And so what do you tell people out there who are optimistic or pessimistic that this is going to go the same way as Candace Owens?
Will be a good case to test the fact-checking world, particularly as it now interacts with the social media monopolies and giants, because they are using the fact checks as a pretext to suspend access to accounts, to suspend various videos and stories, and to label people. And that was different than if they were just censoring people. That would be one thing. But they're choosing to use the fact check as the basis for it, part one, which gives economic consequences and damages from potential defamation claims. And second, they themselves are supporting these potentially alleged defamatory statements. And so it is very similar to the Candace Owens case. It's filed in a difficult jurisdiction, the Northern District of California, which has a lot of hostile judges to anybody contesting big tech power. The judges, it's almost unheard of for the judges out of the Northern District of California to rule against the big tech machine. And so a lot of professional ties, financial ties, other ties, political ties, etc. So that will be the hurdle. And then the big legal question is fact check a factual statement, or is it not? Because the ultimate, to me, it should be kind of obvious. And the legal question is, could a reasonable juror interpret it as a fact check, as a factual statement? That when someone says fact check, partly false, fact check, misleading, fact check, missing context, fact check, this isn't true. That sounds to me like a factual statement. And at a minimum, go ahead.
No, it's a joke that you even have to say it. Is a fact check a statement of fact or a statement of opinion? The whole ironic kick in the groin from the Candace Owens lawsuit was the judge who said anyone reading this would know that it wasn't a statement of fact, but rather one that was just a warning for them to read further into it. If a fact check is not a statement of fact as opposed to a statement of opinion, maybe we're already there. Words don't mean anything. In which case, there will be no future understanding. But it's an absurd statement that you even have to ask the question, Robert, is a fact check a statement of fact or a statement of opinion?
Because that's going to be Facebook's defense. Facebook's defense is going to be, that that they are simply one. They'll make a Section 230 argument in all likelihood because they try to structure their fact checking so technically it's not them doing it. They're just promoting someone else who has a different opinion, if you will. So they'll argue that the Section 230 applies. I don't think it does because Facebook is sponsoring, supporting, and colluding in this. But but again, that will be one area where they will try to defend themselves. And if they get the right political court, they might interpret it that way. Then the second defense will be that these are not actual facts, that a fact check is not factual. I mean, that ultimately was the defense in the Candace Owens case by Facebook.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't believe that it stood. I don't know if what the status is if she's appealing it, but for anybody who doesn't know, the judge literally said hoax alert when they qualified her statement as a hoax and flagged it with hoax alert. No one would take that to mean that Candace Owens was actually promoting a hoax. They would interpret that to mean they have to read her post with greater reflection, with greater scrutiny. Bull garbage up the wazoo. So this lawsuit, they respond to the Section 230 before they raise it. You don't need to sell me on that. I believe what they're arguing is that when it comes to defamation, it's a statement they're making. It's not a statement that a third party made on their platform. So there's no immunity under 230 for that.
Facebook pretends that's the case because that's how they set up their whole fact checking system. Oh, this is a third party fact checker, and we're just putting their person up. We're not actually saying anything. Now, it's deliberately deceptive at multiple levels. And like one of the things that Stossel suit makes point of is that the most defamatory thing was a false attribution. They claim that he said climate change had nothing to do with the fires. He never made that claim. In fact, he said the opposite of that. But that claim is buried within the link. And so I'm sure Facebook's going to say, we're not responsible for that statement either. So Facebook's designed, their lawyers clearly crafted their fact checking to create one impression for consumers, but a different one they could argue for legally. And that's what will be contested. But it's Harmeet Dillon's firm that's representing Stossel, very good firm. So they're well equipped to argue this. And so it's good to see this bogus fact checking put to the test. And we'll see what they then say.
And it is, I mean, I actually didn't realize it was Harmeet Dillon, but it's just a very, very well drafted lawsuit. It's clear to the point. It has all the receipts, so to speak. The fact that the fact checkers, in fact, confirmed the facts that were spoken by Stossel in his video and confirmed the fact that he didn't make the statements the fact checkers attributed to him. And what he did say is, in fact, confirmed by the fact checkers. But that's once you get past the first, second, third click links of the fact checkers. Now, as far as the argument goes that Facebook is going to argue that these fact checkers are third parties, so they're not responsible, doesn't that change when they have a contract with the third parties? It's not like an independent user on the platform. This is effectively an entity, an affiliate of Facebook, so therefore they couldn't weasel out of the argument that way?
Yep, because it's clearly not purely third-party promoted content. Facebook is making a choice to stick a third party's content onto Stossel's content. That's Facebook making a post. That's not Facebook promoting some third-party content on its own accord. And so that's where I think that argument shouldn't work. And they make the allegation that this was coordination, collusion, all of this is by Facebook's design. Nobody would know about this fact checker organization but for Facebook promoting them, pitching them, linking to it, and sticking it on Stossel's page, and sticking it on Stossel's comments and on Stossel's videos. And so I think I think he's got a good claim about the fact checking process and how it's completely bogus. The question is whether there will be a court willing to be that won't be so political as to cover for Facebook. That will be the open question.
All right, and just to praise Stossel a little bit, I mean, the lawsuit goes into his credentials. The guy seems relatively clean and and meticulous in his work.
He's very careful. He's been very. I mean, he was on ABC for a long time. He had his own show for a long time. So this is someone that has a pretty impressive pedigree. So to go after him was probably a mistake. Going after Candace Owens was one thing. Going after him is probably more risky. But they are in the Northern District of California. So
yeah, because he was. I'm not misrepresenting. He was probably on the left end of the spectrum and the media cycle for a long time, and they went after him. I'm sure he was surprised when when Facebook went after him, given, that he seemed to be on the right side of the media for the longest time. And then the second you start contradicting something of the narrative, even if you're actually confirming a portion of it, they come after you. So to be continued. We'll see where it goes. Do they get to use the Facebook Candace Owens decision as a precedent, or different jurisdictions? So therefore,
it's persuasive, but not binding, because that was a state court of Delaware. This is a federal court in the Ninth Circuit in the District of California. So to my knowledge, there's no fact-checking case yet that's been adjudicated outside of the Candace Owens case. So this will be setting precedent one way or the other.
And I like it because this lawsuit simplifies the claim a little bit. Candace Owens had a creative one where there was an argument for unfair business practices because they were driving traffic. The third-party fact checkers were using Candace Owens as a catapult to their own channels where they derive revenue from redirecting traffic from Candace Owens' wildly popular page. This is sticking more to basics, attributing statements to Stossel that he did not in fact make, qualifying statements that he did in fact make as wrong when they were not, and the collusion conspiring between Facebook and the third-party fact checkers, or as I like to call them, third-party fact checkers. So we'll see. It was good.